Welcome to Card Central 365. This is STL Sports Central. All content provided by DraftKings. The crown is yours. This show is specifically powered by Gray Bar, who's a great friend of the program. Joe Roderick and Stefan Caray here. It's the Cards and the Guards in Cleveland for a three-game series. Cardinals looking to get back on track in what is going to be an important matchup for them as they head to Wrigley soon. But this Guardians team, not quite the Cleveland team we're used to seeing over the past few years.
No, it's still one of those where even when you do the research on it, you're not sure what you're going to expect this weekend out of them. Cardinals have a better record. The division that Cleveland's in isn't that great. I mean, they have the White Sox in it, so but they do have the best team in baseball in it on the other side, and it's one of those where I think I said it yesterday in the post game. This is one of those, measuring stick type of series where it's a team that I think a lot of fans in Cleveland, a lot of experts around baseball would have thought that Cleveland would have been a playoff team this year, still very much in the race. But you kind of look at maybe a disappointing season hovering around 500 where they are. So the Cardinals, you'd like to see them go in there and take care of business in a series like this.
I totally agree with you, Joe. And let's take a look under the hood at the Guardians. What has been going wrong for them this season? They're 5-5 in their last 10 games, 9.5 back of first, but they're in second place in their own division. So the Tigers pretty much just running away in the AL Central. The Cardinals well within striking range, 4.5 back of first, and very much in the hunt with a wild card. Now, with the Guardians, they have alternated winning and losing seasons for each of the last 5 years. Here are the last three: 92 wins in 2022, 76 wins in 23, 92 wins in 24. So they had division titles on the bookends there, but finished third in the Central 2 years ago. 21 quality starts. That's the 27th most in Major League Baseball, but somehow have the 15th best ERA. So they've pitched, but they haven't pitched deep into games. Offensively, they're scoring 3.76 runs per game. That's 12th most in the American leagues, which is very, very, very average, if not below average. 79 home runs, 13th in the American League. They aren't slugging at all. They have the lowest hard hit rate in the league at 36.2%. This is a team that really, if you can hit even a little bit, you're going to have success against up in Cleveland.
Yeah, and you keep going even more. I mean, Clase, you look at how bad he was at the beginning of the year for them. The struggles, it's very easy to pinpoint, I think, when you look at why they are a 500 team. And maybe this is just the cardinal red colored glasses that you and I are accused of wearing often, I think. But when you look at the Cardinals, it's just been a roller coaster, just up and down, and it just goes from one week to the next, whether you love it or it frustrates the hell out of you with that. And this is, it's one of those series, it's a 3-game series that you're only seeing that team 3 times. So maybe you're not paying that close attention to what's going on there, where you and I talk about it every single day here in St. Louis.
Yeah, I think it's really just a team that has struggled with consistency. Finding ways to win in different ways has been very exciting. It makes for an exciting brand of baseball to watch night in and night out. But you see them score 8 runs in the first 2 games and then get shut out in the next 2. I think that's a pretty good example of how the season's gone. And I've said it multiple times. When they score 10 runs in the first game of the series, I don't get all that excited because I wonder, did they score all their runs for the series in game 1? Did they run out of steam? And that's kind of what happened the first 2 games with Chicago. And that's maybe giving a little bit too much credit to or not giving enough credit to the offense, taking away the pressure of the fact that they were facing 2 of the best pitchers in the National League in the final 2 games of that series. But you'd like to see them be able to consistently score 7, 8, 9 runs like they were at the beginning of the season, and let the pitching that has struggled to really get swing and miss find a bit of a rhythm.
And I got to say, I don't buy into the whole save up the runs, that stuff. I'm more of momentum's as good as the next day starter type of mindset. So when I look at what happened in that series, it's more a case of you face lefties, you crush the righties, then you had to face lefties, and right now this Cardinal team is not made up to face left-handed pitchers.
No, not at all. I mean, you see the numbers all across Twitter. Just they are not good. batting average, slugging, OPS has not been good against left-handed pitching. Fortunately, they get a righty today in Luis Ortiz, and we'll talk a little bit about him with Sonny Gray as the opposing starter against the Guardians for the Cardinals, and he has been great whenever the Cardinals have needed a good start to stop a bit of a slump, to maybe start a win streak. It seems like Sonny Gray has always been in the mix. So I'm very curious to see how this plays out. The Cardinals didn't have the finish to the series that they would have liked against the Cubs, but 7-3 in their last 10 games, shut out last 2 games, haven't scored in 22 innings. At some point, that's going to boil over into them scoring a lot of runs. I think it's safe to say it's a powder keg. These guys want to score. They want to get that monkey off their back and find a way to get back into the driver's seat offensively, because right now, without Ivan Herrera, without Jordan Walker, without some of the guys that you're usually plugging and playing in that lineup, you have to take it upon yourselves to find ways to push runs across the plate.
Let me ask you this. Let me get your opinion on it, because you mentioned Sonny Gray being, great this year, being that stopper. More and more, I mean, we're 2 weeks away from it. We have seen more. We've seen the votes come out the way they are. We won't know pitchers for a while. Sonny Gray an all-star right now?
To me, I think he's pitched like one. I think all-star is dependent upon the value that you bring to your team. And the way that it looks right now is, to me, truthfully, a joke. The way that the system works is a joke. The fact that we're going to see potentially 6 Los Angeles Dodgers have starters in the All-Star game, not because they've earned it, but because they have a fan base that's willing to vote the people in. All-Star.
They also, they also get the advantage too of an entire country that's
right
behind.
Exactly. And I'm not suggesting that they haven't played well, right? Freddie Freeman has played extremely well. Shohei Ohtani, of course, has played extremely well. Andy Paz,
second best DH in all of the National League. Shohei Ohtani,
right.
100%. Yeah.
I mean, there's no question that some of them are deserving, but the All-Star game used to be more than just a popularity contest. And to see a guy like Eugenio Suarez being counted out, to see a guy like Brendan Donovan being counted out, to see players all across the diamond from different teams that maybe aren't getting the same national media attention, I think is a travesty, especially when you're going to a place like Atlanta that, has become one of the big baseball markets, but is not a gigantic market comparatively to Chicago, New York, LA. And you want to showcase these players. You don't see the same controversy in the American League. You see it in the National League. And just to me, it's unfair. It shouldn't be happening. And they should find a way to implement and incorporate those who are deserving statistically.
What a great way to showcase your players is to put it on an outlet that not everybody has and not everyone's able to watch. And that's going to be the case tonight as your dad gets the night off and the game is on Apple TV. So even though I'm on post-game coverage, all of my hot takes on the post-game coverage tonight will be through what I hear on the radio as I listen to the game and listen to Claibs and company on KMOX. So that's going to be the way that I am going to have to go about giving my post-game thoughts tonight.
Well, you have certainly a good couple of options on the radio side. If you want to listen to the opposing radio, Tom Hamilton, of course, is going to Cooperstown, Ford Frick Award winner. So congratulations to him. He's been great to my family. And, of course, John Rooney and Ricky Horton and Mike Claiborne, they're the best in the business. So much fun to listen to if you're listening on the radio side. But those who are watching here know that this show is brought to you by Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. Thank you for coming in and tuning in with us. Get involved in the conversation, your questions, comments, concerns about this series. He's Joe Roderick. I'm Stefan Caray. Let's dive a little bit into our starting pitching matchup. We talked about Sonny Gray, but Luis Ortiz is a pitcher that I think is intriguing for St. Louis. 4-8 with a 4.30 ERA, so 8 losses. That tells me that with a 4.3 ERA, he's not getting a ton of run support. And when you look at the average 3.76 runs per game for the Guardians, that tracks. But his last start was one of his best of the year. Win in 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts at Sutter Health Park in Sacramento. And I know you haven't been there for a major league game. That's one of the most hitter-friendly ballparks in the league. That is a bandbox. And to be able to have a shutout performance in 6 innings, that says something to me about what Luis Ortiz can do.
Yeah, and it's a guy, though, that the Cardinals have seen. There are quite a few players on this Cardinal roster that you would expect in the lineup tonight that have a handful of at-bats against him. So nothing should come out of the ordinary for them tonight. You have Arenado with 7, Burleson with 7, Donovan with 6 at-bats against him in their career from his time in Pittsburgh. So nothing should really shock you tonight with him and what you're going to see out of him, because again, as you mentioned, it's, the 4.30 ERA, not incredible, not amazing by any standards, but he's a guy that it appears, is going to keep the Guardians in games and keep it close if they're able to get any kind of run support for him.
And especially with the Cardinals' struggling offense, that's all you need. You just need to keep it close and hope that you can pitch late, which has also been an issue for Cleveland this season. Sonny Gray, on the other hand, 5 innings, 5 hits, an earned run, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts against Cincinnati. Bit surprised we didn't see him in the Cubs series, but no time like the present to get the team back on track with your ace. 8% strikeout percentage in June is the lowest of the season in a full month. It was nearly 12% in May, but his ground ball percentage is up to 46%. So despite not getting a lot of swing and miss, or as much swing and miss in the month of June, he's getting the ball on the ground, and that's helping him a lot. Opponents versus the fastball, 872 OPS, they're hitting it. But versus the breaking ball, 436. So they are not touching anything that has spin. So if Sonny Gray continues to spin it at the bottom of the zone, man, he's going to have a fun night in Cleveland, Ohio.
And that's been the case with him. When we saw Sonny Gray struggle last year, a lot of it too, you remember he got the late start last year. He came in and the velocity wasn't there on the fastball. And they were hitting the fastball hard. And when players were able to kind of pick up and spit on the off-speed stuff, that's where Sonny Gray really struggled, because it's all swing and miss or it's low contact on that breaking stuff. But if you're able to pick that up, the book is out on him. You're just not swinging at it. You're not, if you see it coming, if you see any kind of spin, you're laying off of it and you're waiting for that fastball, which in recent years, last year wasn't great. This year, a little better, but that's been the book on him for a while. And it's one of those that, that's what makes him frustrated sometimes. But this year you could tell it's been really, really good so far this year.
And he has certainly seen the Guardians plenty in his career, with his time with Minnesota, his time in Oakland. He was certainly a pitcher that has familiarized himself with the Guardians. Career ERA of 3.47, 6-5 record, over 100 innings, does have 100 strikeouts against the Guards. So has been getting a lot of swing and miss. Maybe that will help his strikeout percentage tonight.
10th overall, 10th start in his career at Progressive Field. So one that he should be well aware of. Yes.
I'm sure he will be very, very well aware of it.
He's had, Jose, so again, we're not going to have the lineup out for another couple hours, but for fans that were paying attention, or if you weren't yesterday in the finale of the Guardians Blue Jays game, kind of ended up getting a little tense in there, as both Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Jose Ramirez were both hit by pitches, and both left the games due to being hit by pitches. So the two superstars in the game, and their teams, I guess, protecting them or just bad pitching, whatever you want to chalk it up to. So I haven't seen anything yet as far as Jose Ramirez's availability for tonight, but something to watch when those lineups do come out to see if he's going to be available.
This is a big stretch of games for the Cardinals, right? You have the Guardians, then you have the Pirates, then you have the Cubs. Outside of the Cubs, these two series could set you up nicely for some momentum heading into Wrigley Field. You know that Wilson Contreras is going to be motivated. We saw the quote. You read it aloud on our post-game coverage. I don't want to fight them. Well, that's fine. Just fight off pitches instead. Fight off the baseball. Take out your aggression on those stitches and hit the ball out of the yard. Because that's what the Cardinals have been doing really well in the month of June. They are scoring the majority of their runs via the home run ball, if you can believe it. Just looking at the numbers, it's really, really insane to take a look at how the Cardinals have adjusted to becoming a manufacturing runs team to now a home run hitting team here in June.
and you need your team leading home run hitter Lars Nootbaar back in the lineup after having to miss the last 2 games with that cortisone shot that he got. So well, again, that's another one too. We'll be looking very closely when those lineups come out later on this afternoon to see how they who's available for both teams.
And the jury is out on that question. You certainly would like to see the lefties getting stacked, as Ollie Marmol has done time and time again. When he stacked the lefties, the Cardinals have been winning. They're sitting right at 500 against teams 500 or above, and they're doing a lot better against teams below 500. The difference for the Guardians, they have not been as good against those teams. They have certainly struggled against teams above 500. They're about 8 games below 500 against teams above 500. So I know that's a mouthful, but the Cardinals come in with a statistical advantage because of their winning record.
Yeah. I agree. It's one of those, like I said, measuring stick series this weekend. 6 games out of 500. It would I want to see that 10. I want to see them get to that 10 mark and go from there. And they're getting right. I think the highest they've been so far this year is 8. And I'm not saying by any means I don't expect 5-1 here in the next 2 series, but that sure would be nice when you're starting off with Sonny Gray kickstarting you this weekend.
It's a great way to get started. And as the Cardinals proved last series, winning the first game is so important, because imagine if they didn't win game 1 and the Cubs didn't necessarily dominate the Cardinals through the final 3 games, but it was even in game 2, and then the Cubs ran away with it in games 3 and 4. But before we continue on with our Cardinals versus Guardians coverage, important to note that baseball season is officially underway, and it's time to step up to the plate with DraftKings Pick 6. Think of DraftKings Pick 6 as your fastball right down the middle. It's the easiest way to play for cash and take a shot at a big win. Just select 2 or more players and choose if they'll have more or less of a stat. Pick 6 available in most states, including California, Texas, Georgia, Missouri, and more. Cash in your baseball knowledge. New players get $50 in Pick 6 credits instantly on just a $5 entry. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app and use code STL Sports. That's code STL Sports for new customers to play. $5, get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins. Only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
This is Card Central 365 on STL Sports Central. He's Joe Roderick. I'm Stefan Caray. And we've talked about the pitching. We've talked about the Cubs. We've talked about the Cardinals. Now let's talk about the offense. St. Louis needs to find a way to put runs on the board. Ballpark like Progressive Field, those big walls might fool you a little bit, but you can hit the ball up and out of there. You can certainly hit for power at Progressive Field.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, the high walls are there, yes, to fool you, but it is a park that you get it up and get it out of. And the Cleveland has never been a team that has lacked for power hitters. And I don't know if, again, this Cardinal team, we talked about it and you mentioned it, has scored so many of their runs lately off the long ball, off the home run. You can't rely on that. Cannot rely on that. And you've seen the shift in the order here recently. A few of these guys need to kind of go back to those roles and go back to, Alec Burleson, I just want to continue to see hit for power or hit for average. I want to consistently see that average over 300 with him against a righty tonight. Just, big gaps out there in that field. Find those and go for doubles, go for the extra base hits, and put together those rallies instead of just the constant, the 2-run homer that we saw in the first 2 games of that Cubs series.
And they've been below average in average and have been below average in slugging this month, but nearly 50% of their runs have come via the long ball. So you're going to need to continue that trend. Might as well play that way. And you got to give them credit, right? Below average in average, below average in slugging, and you're playing nearly 500 ball against a really tough June schedule for the Cardinals. I give them credit. Hey, they found ways to win. you could go 500 this month and you stay right around 6 or 7 games above 500. I am ready for them to get to that 10-game mark above 500. I hope they can. It seems like every time that they have gotten to that 8-game, 9-game above 500 mark, they've lost 2 or 3 and put them right back to 6 or 7. So This is a good chance to maybe get right up there.
Yeah, that's like I said. I mean, 5-1 would be ideal before you head into Chicago. Not what I'm expecting, but you take both series. At least that's 4-2 in this. That would require a sweep of one of those. I don't know if the Pirates. I think they're creeping. I think I even said it yesterday that they're kind of creeping towards that territory. If you look at that, into must sweep series. So as we get closer to that, maybe that becomes the case, and maybe come Monday, I'll have different thoughts on what that series needs to be in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and you could be caught totally by surprise by a team like the Pirates. The Marlins just went out to the Bay Area in San Francisco and swept the Giants. I don't think anybody had that on their bingo card. So don't take anybody lightly, but this is a chance where you played 2 division rivals that have been streaking and playing well. Now you get a chance with the Guardians. You've played so many interleague games. You've done pretty well in those interleague games, and set yourself up nicely for that matchup in Chicago. You don't want to overlook the next 2 teams, but you can't underlook the Cubs, especially because you didn't win the series at home.
Yeah, didn't see who are the Cubs. Who do they have this weekend? I haven't looked ahead.
We'll have to double check
who they are,
right
who
now
they're up against, and who will be scoreboard watching for this weekend.
Cubs are at Houston.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. They did. Yeah, they mentioned that on the broadcast a few times. Kyle Tucker makes his return to Houston this weekend.
And the Brewers, who just can't seem to lose, are at home against the Rockies. So there you go. It's entirely possible that those Brewers that are, what are they, 2.5 back or 1.5 back?
Yeah,
could be in first place by the time that we are in Chicago, and then we'll be looking out for what the Brewers are doing. So maybe this is a poor take. The Cubs scare me a little bit more than the Brewers do at this point in time. I think the Cubs have more weapons at each position. But again, it is a tight race. It's a fun race, and this is exactly what you want to see out of the NL Central.
Yeah, the Brewers again. They're doing the, it's as if the Cardinal devil magic switched over because the Brewers just keep finding ways to stay in contention year in and year out, and you kind of scratch your head and you wonder, you're like, they just got rid of these guys. Like, they're getting rid of guys. They're not spending money, and they still end up back in the mix each and every year. It's from Craig Counsell to Pat Murphy. You got to give all that credit to the coaching staff.
They have done a tremendous job. First pitch at 6:10 Central Time from Progressive Field. It's going to be on Apple TV Plus, or you can listen on the radio to KMOX, to John Rooney, to Ricky Horton, to Mike Claiborne, and wherever else you can get your baseball. But we're going to have the coverage for the post game. Joe, have any final thoughts here on 365?
I am very disappointed to see, as I was going through and looking at the Guardians roster for this series, was very disappointed to see that Big Christmas is down in the AAA Columbus, I believe, for Cleveland right now, because he was a guy that I fell in love with last year during the postseason, and really was looking forward to seeing John Kenzie Noel hit a baseball or two this weekend, and that's not going to be the case.
Well, that's one big bat that you can avoid. So we'll look at the silver lining there. Hopefully he comes back after the Cardinals leave town and has a tremendous continuation of his great career in Cleveland. For everybody here at STL Sports Central, all content is provided by DraftKings. The crown is yours. This has been Card Central 365, powered by Gray Bar. For Joe Roderick, I'm Stefan Caray. Thank you so much for joining us. Cardinals trying to get a win in Game 1 in Cleveland as they take on the Guardians.